All right. Hi, Good Life Guy here. What a great opportunity. You know, you've heard of Eric Christensen, some of the finest wine art that you could ever imagine, some of the finest art you could imagine. And when I tell people that it's watercolor, they just can't believe it. I had the opportunity to be here in San Jose and at Eric's gallery. You can see some of his handiwork behind me, and he's doing something really special. Let's walk over and see what he has to say. Folks, this is the man, Eric Christensen. Hi, Eric.
Hello.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Great work, and it's so a pleasure to be here with you. Tell us a bit about, you're doing something different. Watercolor is your baby, and you've done so well with that.
Yeah.
What are we doing today?
I'm actually doing my second oil painting. I did one a couple of years ago. It was fairly successful for me. And so we thought we'd try something different, something more complicated subject material, a little bit more reflection to it.
All your paintings are done from a very skillfully set up and composed photograph.
Correct.
You've got the photograph there in front of you for this oil. And folks may think, oh, well, water, oil, paint, no. Exceedingly different in my mind, because tell us a little bit about the watercolor process first and then compare it to the differences with oil.
Okay, well, watercolor, the way I approach watercolor is, let's say I'm working on the label will be completely finished by the time I get done. So you'll have a perfectly formed label, then I'll move on to the glass, finish the peach, and I'll build 20 to 30 layers to get each color that I want in the watercolor. In oil, because you have to let the coats dry underneath, you have to go through and you just simply paint the whole painting. So you're working in a kind of a macro instead of a micro. And then you go back and you do fine-tune the details. Absolutely completely different. And in watercolor, you always work from light to dark. In oil, you work from your darks and then you build your lights up. So it's complete reversal of thinking how you do
And that watercolor working from dark or light to dark is because no white paint in watercolor.
Correct.
And when you look at some of these beautiful paintings with these beautiful light white reflections, that's canvas.
It is, and the thing, everybody always comments on the glass, and there's always little white dots on it. There's always the strawberries that got like 20 or 30 little white dots on it. You have to paint around them 30 or 40 times, and that's what's really difficult. It's what you don't paint in watercolor that makes it difficult.
So a watercolor then, I would imagine, would take a little more time and be less forgiving.
Well, for me, a watercolor actually takes about the exact same time.
Really?
In fact, the oil may take a little bit longer. Just for me, if I did it on a regular basis, it'd probably be a lot less because there's just a light learning curve. But a watercolor for me would take about 5 weeks every day to 10 hours a day to get it done. So yeah, so it takes a while.
Working with oil, you're a painter, you painted things with oil before, but doing this kind of composition, still same type of setup as far as a photograph is concerned?
Definitely. I buy about $1,000 worth of fruits and vegetables and the wines, and we pick a location, we go and we sit down, and then we I compose it, and then I'll look through the camera and move things, maybe a quarter of an inch this way, an inch that way, make sure the light is hitting it just the way I want it, and we'll get a good photograph. But no matter how good a photograph is, there's still many things you're going to have to change on it. And I do something called hyperrealism. So usually when you take a photograph, like the reflections in the bottle are usually gone. They're not, the camera can't pick that up. So you have to go back in and recreate all that. Try to bring more detail, bring more brightness of color, a little bit more, sharpness in the dark areas and stuff like that.
Well, I want you to get back to work. I love the smell in here, but I don't want any of your paints to dry, so you have to be remixing. It's such a pleasure to be here to see your work firsthand. I know I get to see it every time I sit down to dinner in my dining room. And folks, let me tell you something. If you want to enjoy the good life and you like food and wine, Eric Christensen Wine Art is the answer, bar none. It's money well spent and an investment for a lifetime. It really is the good life. Eric, thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Check it out online. That is the good life.